Every relationship has its baggage. We all have experienced trauma that has changed us in ways that we never thought possible. However, is it worth holding on to pain and suffering that is affecting your relationship today? Have you been holding on to trauma from the past? You might have gotten hurt by an ex-partner psychologically or physically. And while feeling hurt even if it has been years is normal, holding on to the pain when it is controlling your relationship today is unhealthy. This podcast shall talk about what emotional baggage is, the signs to look out for when it comes to carrying emotional baggage from relationships, and how to move on from it. Hello. Welcome to this podcast, which will be focusing on what is emotional baggage in relationships, how to identify it and heal from it. I am Dr. Prerna Kohli, a clinical psychologist and the founder of MindTribe. At MindTribe, we provide affordable counseling, support groups, communities, workshops, and e-learning for improving your mental health. Trigger warning: the following podcast addresses heavy subject matters such as sexual assault and rape, which might be triggering for some listeners. If you have been through this yourself, it could be triggering, and you might want to listen to it with a friend or a trusted adult. To begin with, emotional baggage can be understood as pain, anger, or anxiety because of past relationships. Baggage in this context basically means residual of emotions from previous relationships. This can occur when you have been hurt so badly that you tend to carry those emotions with you when you get into new relationships. Take a moment and remember a point when you perhaps felt the pain from a past situation. You might have been made to feel like a burden, emotionally abused, physically abused, etc. Because you have not processed what you felt. Your mind is still feeling all those emotions unconsciously. And while it's normal to feel certain emotions, it is important to not allow past wounds to control your actions today. Let's talk a little bit about the reason why someone might be carrying baggage with them. Emotional baggage varies greatly depending upon what happened in your previous relationship and how what happened affected you. Some of the main types of emotional baggage include physical abuse. Unfortunately, many relationships can become abusive, and several people are victimized to rape or sexual assault. If you have been through this yourself, the trauma of being physically hurt might play repeatedly in your mind. When you get into a new relationship, you might not even be aware that you are probably carrying a huge part of the damage with you. Lack of trust or not wanting to be sexually intimate with your partner are common signs that you might still be carrying a lot of the baggage with you even if you're not aware of it. Manipulative behavior. Learning to fight in a romantic relationship is a process and it takes time. However, manipulative behavior is toxic and unhealthy. In your relationship, has there have been a point when you pointed the finger at yourself and self-blamed? You might have had a relationship when your partner does not acknowledge your feelings or considers how you are feeling at certain points of your relationship. They might even dismiss your pain as nothing. That not only makes you feel bad, but it also affects your self-esteem. Constant neglect from your significant other can start making you feel like you are a problem. When a previous partner disregards your emotions, you carry that with you into your new relationship. It becomes a habit to blame yourself because you have had someone blame you so much in your past relationship. Cheating, betrayal. Have you ever been cheated on? Has any of your relationships ended you or your partner being unfaithful to you? How did you deal with the situation? According to the General Society survey, 55% of relationships end because a partner cheats. It causes a lot of self-doubt and makes you question why someone would choose someone else over you. You might be more concerned about who your new partner texts or meetups, even if there is nothing to be worried about. You might act out in insecurity and do things you would not otherwise do if you had not been cheated on. Holding on to the suffering can cause immense problems in your relationship, and you might feel a lack of trust even if there's no reason to be suspicious. Now let us move on to talk about the types of emotional baggage you might be carrying. We must keep in mind that the type of emotional baggage is subjective and varies greatly depending upon the individual. Fear is a healthy protection mechanism that instructs us to avoid situations that can endanger us. Yet, fear may become one of the instances of emotional baggage whenever it spirals out of control or becomes unreasonable. If you have been cheated on, you might fear feeling like you weren't enough or the fear of it happening again. Self-criticism. If your partner was manipulative, then you probably self-criticize yourself even when you have nothing to be sorry about, and this might become a habit that you might carry with you into new relationships. This can lead to anxiety and self-esteem issues. Fighting with your partner is healthy and normal, but taking accountability for mistakes is equally important. The next time you have a fight, pause and take a breather just to distance yourself from the situation. Clear your head and then come back and have a conversation. This will help you calm down and not react impulsively. PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. Sexual assault and rape are traumas that psychologically very complex, and it is not easy to move on from them. They can make one feel very unsafe and frightened. The most important thing to remember is that it is not your fault if you feel scared to be sexually intimate with your current partner. You might feel all those emotions that you felt all over again. While these reactions are valid and normal, sometimes they can persist for a long time and can lead to further symptoms. If you are suffering from any of these symptoms, it might be because you have PTSD. However, it is important to get the diagnosis from a licensed professional. But please know that you are not alone, and you can get help from a clinical psychologist or therapist. How do you let go of the baggage and heal? Healing from trauma is a process, and it is important to remember that moving on from something this painful is not linear. And it takes time to move on. Here are some things you can do to help you let go of the baggage. Acknowledge your emotions before analyzing and healing from your thoughts and feelings. It is so important to acknowledge your emotions. Spend some time connecting back to your emotions. 2. You can journal or talk to someone who you trust about how you feel. Verbalizing your emotions or writing them down will help you make sense about what you are feeling. Writing it all out and then rereading what you have written will give you clarity on why you possibly reacted a certain way at some point or why you feel a certain way. Even writing them a letter and forgiving them for they put you through will help you let go of not only the pain but also the person. 3. Communicating. The next step is to communicate your feelings and why you feel a certain way to your current partner. For example, when you fight with your spouse or partner, you might talk about breaking up more often than usual. And this might be because you were cheated on in your previous relationships and hence have the fear of being abandoned again. It is so important to communicate and explain to your partner why you react to certain situations a certain way. You could possibly also express your needs and what they can do to help you. 4. Lastly, as much as these techniques help, some issues might need professional intervention. If you think talking to a professional will help you, please seek help from a therapist or a psychologist. As we come toward the end of this podcast, I, Dr. Prerna Kohli, would like to remind that trauma can affect you in numerous ways. But healing from it and not allowing the pain to control your relationship today is vital. Having said that, it takes time. So, allow yourself to take the time you need to move past your trauma. The moment you stop and put down baggage that is not meant to be carried into your next relationship because it is meant to stay in the past. I hope this podcast helped you reflect on your relationship and helped you in some way, even if it were to acknowledge the pain that you have been carrying with you. I thank you for listening to this podcast. If you feel that it is necessary to seek counseling to heal, please be in touch with a trained and qualified psychologist.